Hi everybody. Today I want to start a new series of videos to talk about porting an old school Meteor app to a more modern stack. And what I mean by that is basically porting an Iron Router Blaze app to FlowRouter and React. So first of all, why would you want to do that in the first place? Well, I believe if you look at the Meteor ecosystem and even the web development ecosystem as a whole, React is definitely the direction everything is going in, right? It's popular, it has a lot of momentum. Also, people are happy with it. You know, you don't hear that many people complaining. There's always kind of new and better patterns and add-ons and plugins coming out. And MDG has made it clear that they see React as a big part of Meteor's future. So I think it makes sense to adopt React for new apps. I don't think there's really a big debate to be had right now about that. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to porting older apps, you might ask if it's worth the trouble. Because after all, if your app is working fine, do you really want to basically start over with a whole new architecture and a whole new stack? And there, yeah, I think it's less cut and dry. It's a much harder question to answer. But I decided to, give this a try and see how it goes as an experiment and also as a challenge for myself. And the app I want to port is the app that you actually use when you're reading our book, Discover Meteor. So if you've bought the book, you're familiar with it. It's fairly simple. It lets you log in, access a table of contents. You can pick a chapter. Shows you the contents right there with a nice image. There's a few nice things like a table of contents in the sidebar, glossary of vocabulary, which doesn't seem to be working right now for some reason. And there's also like a few admin areas like a user dashboard, purchases dashboard, account, and so on. So, it's a fairly bare bones app, but it still has quite a few things in its code base, mainly to manage purchases and users and so on. And otherwise, it's fairly standard. So it uses the same structure that we use in the book. So with client-server directories and views split in directories and so on. So there's going to be a bunch of challenges though in porting this to FlowRouter and React. First of all, well, even though there's nothing that complex about it, there's still a lot of code and things like initializing discuss or just random little things that you need to figure out how to do in React. Yes, apparently my linter is not happy. Sorry about that. So yeah, it's a lot of work just because there's a lot of things to do. And there's also like some deeper issues, like for example, well, if you're switching from Iron Router to FlowRouter, you can't manage subscriptions in the router anymore. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's find our routes file. You have all these like global subscriptions that need to be preloaded in the router before the user can access the site. And right now, FlowRouter still lets you do that at the router level, but this is going away, so it's not recommended you use that. So you need to find a different pattern for loading data before your content, your templates. Same thing with, specific routes. Like here we're returning a video in the router's data filter or callback, and you can't do that in FlowRouter, so you need to do that at the template level. So there's a bit of thought involved here. Just figure out how to re-architecture all these subscriptions. So I guess that's kind of the first level, right? Switching from Iron Router to FlowRouter without even thinking about React yet. That's going to be kind of a big part of the work. And then, of course, yeah, React. That will involve going through each of these templates, porting them to JSX, or maybe using something like Sideburns, which is now called Blaze React, or is it React Blaze? I'm not sure. And then maybe, you know, at a later third stage, thinking about things like Webpack or kind of upgrading the whole stack to be even more modern and get things like hot code reload and code splitting if needed, server-side rendering, and so on. So yeah, this is not you know, it's not the biggest, most complex app ever, but it's also not a trivial job by any means. So well, I'm recording this video first of all so that I have you know, a reason to go through with this, because it's really easy to get started with this and get cold feet and be like, oh well, okay, it works right now, so you know, I'll let sleeping dogs lie. But hopefully by doing this and sharing it with you guys, this will serve as a motivation to make sure I go through and port our book app to React.